நான் தானே பண்ணேன் விர்ச்சுவல் கேமரா ஓடுதுடா ஓபிஎஸ் பாரு விர்ச்சுவல் கேமரா தான் ஓடுது ஆனா அத வந்துட்டீங்க
Okay, mic கொஞ்சம் கீழே ஃபாஸ்டா பண்ணிட்டு
வயர் எங்க வச்சுக்க அந்த யூஸ் இல்ல இல்ல உன் கையில கொடுத்தேன் இன்னைக்கு நேற்று பேக் அந்த பேக்ல சேவ் பண்ணல இல்ல பேக்
இது எதுக்கு இந்த சாரி டேபிள் கிளாத் யார் எடுத்து வந்தா இது எதுக்கு நீங்க அந்த சாரி எடுத்தீங்கல எதுக்கு சாரமா டேபிள்ல போறோம் சரி நீங்க இந்த டாலர் எங்க யூஸ் பண்ணுவீங்க சொன்னா அவங்களுக்கு தெரியும்
சொல்லுங்க
Hello.
சீராடும் மலரமென புகழ்பரத கண்டன்று தெக்கனமும் மகிழ்ச்சிறந்த திராவிடர்கள் திருநாடும் தக்க சிறு விரைமுகலும் கரிதலும் திலகமுமே அத்திரக வாசலை போல் அந்துடலும் உள்ளமுட எத்திசையும் புகழ்மணக்க இருந்த பெரும் தமிழனகே தமிழனகே உன் சீரிழமை திறமை அந்து செயல்மறந்து வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே வாழ்த்ததுமே.
Thank you for your wonderful positive vibrations. Light the lamp of positivity and walk the miles with courage. Let us follow the tradition of lighting the good will occur. Now, I request all the dignitaries to proceed with the lighting.
ஸ்க்ரீன் பண்ணுறா ஆனியாவோட வரவே இல்லை விஷயம் இல்லை.
Very good morning, everyone. I am very delighted to welcome you all to the inaugural function of First International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Data Science. On behalf of Department of Computer Application, Association with After Automation Solution Private Limited, Open Power, IBM Institute and XKL Solutions. It is my immense pleasure to welcome our chief guest of the day, Dr. James Borer, retired IBM Executive, Board of Director, International Society of Service Innovation Professional, and UIDP Senior Fellow, Bigmet Fellow Member, California, United States of America. Sir, welcome Dr. Jim. I extend a warm welcome to our chief guest of honor, Dr. Bhaskar Ramachandran, Professor, College of India Campus, Anna University. Sir, welcome, sir. On behalf of Department of Computer Application, I extend a warm welcome to our respected Director, SRMIST-Ramapuram campus, to this inaugural function. Sir, welcome you, sir. It is my privilege to welcome our respected and beloved Dean, College of Science and Humanities, SRMIST-Ramapuram campus. And I would like to welcome our beloved Vice Principal Admin and Vice Principal Academic, College of Science and Humanities, SRMIST-Ramapuram campus. It is my privilege to welcome our beloved HODs of various departments and my
recording in progress.
And beloved students of Department of Computer Applications. On behalf of Department of Computer Application, I extend a warm welcome to the participants from various institutions who have been registered and going to give their presentations in the International Conference on Artificial Intelligence and Data Science, ICAI 2022. I welcome you all. Artificial intelligence is a field born in the year 1956 and conceived by researcher John McCarthy, and defines it is a science and engineering of making intelligent machines. Intelligence is a property of mind that encompasses many related abilities, such as the capacity to reason, capacity to plan, capacity to resolve problems, and capacity to think abstractly, capacity to comprehend ideas, capacity to use language, and capacity to learn. There are several ways to define intelligence. Artificial intelligence was adapted throughout the technology industry, providing the heavy lifting for logistics, data mining, medical diagnosis, and many other areas. Data science is an interdisciplinary field that uses scientific methods, processes, algorithms, and systems to extract knowledge and insights from noisy, structured, and unstructured data. The Republic Computer Application SRMIST-Ramapuram campus, association with Object Automation Solution Private Limited, Open Power, IBM Institute, and HCL Solutions organize this international conference for faculty members, researchers to enrich their knowledge and empower research skills towards artificial intelligence and data science. I appreciate our
Recording
conference
stopped.
Mrs. S. Surya and Professor Shyamala Madam for their efforts to execute this international conference in a grand manner. I hope this conference will help the researchers to learn the insights of artificial intelligence and data science and let them be utilized to the research in right directions. Thank you all. Thank you for the opportunity.
We should strive to welcome change and challenges because they are what help us grow. We need to constantly be challenging ourselves in order to strengthen our knowledge and increase our intelligence. Thank you, sir, for your warm welcome. The events we bring upon ourselves, no matter how unpleasant, are necessary in order to learn what we need to learn, and whatever steps we take, they are necessary to reach the places we have chosen to go. Welcome, ma'am. Let me call upon Professor, the co-convener of this program, J. Shyamala Devi, to present the details of the conference. Welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, madam, all present here. It is a privilege to stand here and recall the events that lead us to the conference. We have indeed completed one international conference with the Department of Computer Science and Applications, our parent department, in the month of August 2021 on research essentials in machine learning and computational intelligence in association with Infrastructure University Kuala Lumpur. It was a new experience for us to collaborate with a foreign university and
Recording in progress.
international conference with all technical challenges. It was handled with excellence by the convener and coordinators of the event in connecting two universities within different geography, bringing in guests and participants across the world. In September, when our dean asked all the UG departments to organize an international conference, we first wondered, will it be possible to organize? We accepted the challenge and the brainchild was born. The first international conference on artificial intelligence and data science, ICAIS 2022. Biotechnology department led the path by organizing an international conference with a Malaysian university with just 4 faculty. And we, organizing a blended mode of conference with a strength of 12 faculty was really challenging. And that too, students attending classes online and learning in campus. But they volunteered with every committee and the faculties and made this possible. And I should mention here, Object Automation Software Solutions, IBM, Open Power, Institute, SKL Solutions were a great support to us. Mr. Ganesan of Open Power helped us to bring our chief guest, Mr. Jim, an expert in AI. Adya and Devesh as keynote speakers. I thank Dr. Bhaskaran Ramachandran, our guest of honor, for his presence. The main idea of this conference is the value and opportunities that AI provides and how data science supports them. This is a forum to promote research in artificial intelligence and scientific exchange among artificial intelligence researchers, scientists, analysts, faculty and student community in affiliated disciplines. The key objective of AI conference is to provide the communication between science and engineering research among the academic and industrial community, working on AI and robotics, artificial neural networks, machine learning, deep learning, robotics process automation, natural language processing, to name a few. AI events often feature a diverse technical track, student abstracts, invited speakers, workshops, competition programs, among others, to discuss all of the developments in the field of AI and thereby promote this synergism among the many disciplines that contribute to its growth. Earlier in February, we had 5 days international workshop on AI sorry, it was a 5 days workshop on AI concepts with experts from object automation, training all the students of second and third year of BCA. From the conference, we have received 72 submissions across the globe, from Malaysia, Dubai, and papers across India, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, Maharashtra to West Bengal. The papers were peer-reviewed and selected, keeping the plagiarism check under 15%. We have got papers from students, research scholars, faculty, and from industry people like Accenture and Object Automation. The sessions are in 4 tracks, 2 going parallelly today afternoon, the 4th of March, and two sessions tomorrow, Saturday, the 5th of March. We have grouped tracks on AI, ML, NLP, and image processing, and experts to chair the session. We have a best paper to be announced at the end of each session. I thank all the delegates here and wish the participants good luck. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the elaboration of the conference. Never look at someone else's success to determine yours, because after the sunset, the moon comes out in full glory to beautify the night. He is an amazing person, a caring leader, and an adorable personality. People like him are hard to find. He is the face of our science and humanity family. Every one of us should try and inculcate some of the values he wants. Such selfless service is hard to witness. He is well known for his work in the field of education. I would now like to invite Honorable Dean Dr. C. Sundar, SRMIST, College of Science and Humanities, Ramapuram campus, to offer his felicitations. Please, sir.
Distinguished dignitaries, Dr. Jim Spohner, Board of Directors, International Society for Science Service Innovation Professionals, UIDP, Senior Fellow USA, respected and beloved guest of honor, Dr. Bhaskar Ramachandran sir, Professor, Department of Computer Science Engineering, Anna University, Chennai, beloved Chief Director sir, and respected and beloved Director sir, SRM Group of Institution, Ramapuram campus, Vice Principals, Academic and Admin, the Head of the Department, Dr. Agastya, the Conference Conveners, Mrs. Surya, Mrs. Shamla Devi ma'am, the faculty from Department of BCA, Head of the Departments, faculty member and most dear student, and the participants from across the globe. Very happy morning to all. It gives me immense pleasure to be part of this first international conference organized by the Department of Computer Application. So I am very much happy to see that today the students taken the prime role for implementing the technology. So yesterday we have organized an international conference organized by Department of Commerce. The technology was handed over by the outsourced, but today the Department of BCA students, they have taken the lead and they are implementing all kinds of technology, making the light and the making. So my personal appreciation to the students of BCA, they are also guiding the faculty. My personal appreciation to the faculty also. So it's artificial intelligence, AI is a common term nowadays. So 10 years back, everyone is wonder about artificial intelligence. But today, say even the school student, they are talking about AI, ML, or the programming language of AI, Python. So even the Python is a syllabus for +1 or even 8th standard student, they are studying for Python. So now the thing is, as an undergraduate student, as we are studying in the #1 private university, so what else we can take up and what learnings we can do and what upgrade we have to do it. So that sense we have to look into it. So now all so everyone is talking about now smart devices is going to be dominant in the future. So now smart devices includes of chatbot or robot or whatever it may be. So now all the manufacturing facilities, they are replacing the human with robotics. So automation is taking place in a very rapid way. So now we can have a question in our mind, so whether the human job will be replaced by the machines or human job will be replaced by the robot. So now lot of surveys says that probably 2024, 75 millions of jobs will be eliminated, so because of artificial intelligence or because of the smart devices or smart equipment. So same research wing, we are coming out with another data, the same another 2024, 130 million jobs is going to be created, so because of artificial intelligence. So no need to worry about the implementation or moving, the technology is moving in a rapid way towards the development side. So the thing is, now machines are learning very fast. So compared to human, machines are learning very fast. If it's going at this space, then it's a very endangered to the human. So anyway, we have to face the challenge, and this kind of institution, the quality institution, definitely will provide a way and a platform how to overcome or how we can explore the opportunity of this kind of technology. So now, as a student of first year or as a student of second year, so we don't know probably what will happen down the line, 3 years or 4 years. So at the time of placement or at the time of attending interview, so if the company calls the vacancy position, if the company calls for an interview, so along with your line, probably few robot will also sitting along your side. So robot will also attend an interview, the competition between the robot as well as the human. So that thing will happen. Probably we cannot expect, we cannot judge the deadline, but yes, definitely in the future the thing will happen. So we have to compete not with the human, so we have to compete only with the machines or the highly intelligent machines. So now artificial intelligence we are talking about. So definitely we are going to meet out as a faculty. So now most of the present day, a lot of educational technology, EdTech, we are moving up. So a lot of technology is facilitating the teacher's role. So I don't know whether what will happen, the role of teacher in the future. So unless otherwise, if we are not upgraded or updated, so with the recent technology, definitely one certain point of time, even the role of a teacher will be replaced by that machine. So because of artificial intelligence. So if you insert one devices in the classroom, so the device will observe that particular faculty, the pattern of teaching, and how he is taking of classes, how he is giving the example. Probably 1 year is enough for the machine to learn and observe. The next time, if you allot the subject, probably artificial intelligence or C or Java, the machine will handle the subject effectively. So what that particular successful teacher or effective teacher have taken the classes. So that type of system will happen. So we have to compete with the intelligent machines only in the future. So everything is smart. So one survey says that probably 2024, 200 billion devices will be connected. So interconnected. So these devices, so without human intervention, the devices will take care of the entire function. So even a few developers, infrastructure developers, now they are coming out with smart homes. So the home itself, the smart home itself will take care of everything. So if your coming time to the house is a 5 o'clock, so automatically your air condition will be on, automatically your entire system will be on. So whatever the regular process, it will be taken care by the machines, and that is smart devices. So with this, because now as an Indian perspective, we don't know a lot of advanced technology research is going in the European as well as the American. So now we are far behind, probably 10 to 15 years we are far behind in India. So that type of technology only they are knowing. So now only we came to know that metro rail. So metro rail is launched in the Japan 40 years back. So you can imagine that the gap, the lagging of gap of advanced country as well as the developing country. So these kind of things, but now thanks to the internet and thanks to the technology, so now we can able to know that what type of things is happening. So now the thing is, as a human, we have natural intelligence. So with the help of natural intelligence, what extent we can do it. So otherwise we will lost to the So now the competition between natural intelligence to the artificial intelligence. So we don't know what will happen in the near future. Probably near future in the sense 2 years or 3 years. If one certain point of time. So best example is Indian movie. So we have to salute to Shankar of his imagination, of his creativity, of his proactive thinking, what will happen in the future. He's shown that climax. The machine will develop another machine. So without human intervention, the machine will manufacture another machine. It will be circulated. So you can see that that cinema which shows that so what type of danger will face by the society if the machine will develop another machine. But anyway, it's going to be it's going to be happen with that particular situation. So now the thing is, so we have to be proactive, and I don't know whether so we developed only machine, but one point machines again we develop the machine to learn themselves. So that is the thing we trained the machine to develop. Now natural language processing, machine itself learning, machine educate other machines how to learn. So that type of stage where we are. So you can imagine that what will happen. But anyway, positive advantage side, we have a lot of advantages with help of the intelligent machines. So they are reducing the manpower, they are increasing the productivity. So because of the business model, they can generate more number of profit. So as a business model, they can use the intelligent machine for all the business related decisions. But as a human, as a populated country like India, 1.3 billion, so now we have to provide employment opportunities to all. If this thing, major of the industry, they are moving with the artificial intelligence machine or smart devices, we can think. So the thing is, how we are studying in the theory, we have to implement in the practice. We have to develop the analytical skill and the critical thinking skill. The two skills is very much important. So once if you develop this kind of skill set, so definitely you can able to compete with this intelligent artificial intelligence. So now the topic itself very attractive. So now everyone is discussing about. So even our director, who is a very specialist about computer science engineering PhD, sir is well aware about this kind of system of artificial intelligence. How lot of PhD candidates they are doing in the area under the guidance of our director, sir. So sir is the right person to explain about so what will be the future related to artificial intelligence. Even we have BTech on AI, and we are also thinking about to introduce the course of BSc Artificial Intelligence. Already our HOD MCA introduced BSc Data Science. Already we have the course in BSc Data Science, BCA Data Science, and we are planning to introduce the BSc Artificial Intelligence in this science and humanities level itself. So with this, I once again congratulate the person of MCA, also the students of BCA and the participants. And on behalf of SRMIST-Ramapuram, I extend a sincere thanks and gratitude to the guest of today, Dr. Jim Spoher and Dr. Ramapuram sir. So those are accepted our invitation and sparing their valuable time with us. We are also eagerly awaiting to know the valuable inputs and the valuable information from the guest and the guest of honor. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your felicitations. With your guidance, we will reach all our milestones. Coming together is the beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success. The world's greatest achievers have been those who have always stayed focused on their goals and have been consistent in their efforts. We take the pleasure of welcoming the person who played a vital role to make this conference a successful one. May I now call upon Dr. V. Subbaya Bharati, Director, SRMIST-Ramapuram Campus, to deliver the presidential address. Welcome.
Good morning. Thank you, Dr. Jim, for joining us today. And on behalf of management, we express our gratitude to Dr. Jim and Dr. Bhaskaran from Anna University. My dear Dean Science and Humanities, Vice Principals, Heads of Departments, participants and my dear students, very good morning to all of you. At the outset, I congratulate and appreciate Department of Computer Application for choosing this topic, artificial intelligence, for their first international conference. Hope many of you come across many times about artificial intelligence, so no need to have any introduction, but as been rightly expressed, almost all the industries unavoidably they have to come through it, artificial intelligence. Giving one example is the present day airliners, be it Boeing or Airbus. Now they have around 10,000 sensors only in the wings, including engine. It will run into nearly a lakh of sensors are fitted in every flight, and in a single flight it produces almost 1 terabyte of data, a single flight. So IoT sensors, 1 terabyte of data stored in cloud. There are machine learning algorithms doing big data analytics. So before the airliner comes to the ground, everything is analyzed using machine learning algorithms, preventive maintenance or breakdown maintenance, the in-flight experience of the users, everything is done through algorithms, which will save huge cost for companies. They are saving billions of dollars. Technology helps saving money. In other words, increasing the profit. So in that way it is very helpful. But at the same time, lot of caution already given by Dean. For industries it is okay. Even in Chennai, metro trains are fitted with IoT sensors. In Chennai, metro trains are fitted with IoT sensors, but not to the extent of Airbus, but to some extent they are using. When it comes to the other aspect, tracing the history of development of human intelligence, right from Stone Age to the modern age, the human intelligence is developed primarily because of sensory perception. We see, we hear, we smell, we touch, all these sensors, we also have sensors. These sensory perceptions play a very vital role in development of human intelligence. But presently, this artificial intelligence is augmenting human intelligence. It is a threat. Why I am saying this? Few years back, if you want to say you are in an unknown city, you want to reach your relative's house, how you will go? You enter somebody, then they will give some hints. You take them, there will be a temple, there will be a Rota stall, there will be a whatever way. So we look for it. So we see things, we try to associate, we smell, we hear, and we try to associate everything, and then we'll try to reach. Today, without Google Map, we cannot go anywhere. So what Google Map is helping you, it is the greatest tool for everybody now. Not only for Ola drivers, it is for us also. Google Map is helping you a lot. But what is the other side? You are losing your sensory perception. Your sensors are not properly utilized. This is only one example. If you keep on augmenting human intelligence with artificial intelligence for our own comfort, maybe down the line in few decades, our sensors will try to shut down the biggest threat. Industries is okay, productivity is okay, technology should be there. We cannot be isolated without technology. But don't try to augment your intelligence with artificial intelligence. How many of you are Netflix subscribers? I hope you are all seeing Netflix, even if you don't raise your hand. How many of you see a documentary called The Social Dilemma. Social Dilemma, have you seen? Otherwise go and see Social Dilemma. Today, all your social media, right from Facebook or Insta, whatever be it, in the back end, artificial intelligence engines are working. So they closely monitor your human behavior and they are able to manipulate your human behavior. Artificial intelligence is being used to manipulate your behavior. If you are a shy person, they will be able to make you very outward person. If you are a very outward person, they will be able to make you very silent. It is possible. These tools are being used for many purposes. Not only that, even big countries, I am very sorry for this, Dr. Jim. So, big democratic countries like US, where the elections are controlled by social media. The voting behavior can be very well changed by social media. In the back end, what is working? AI engines are working. So these are some aspects we have to look at, even though it is a welcome thing for industries, but as been rightly expressed, we may not know what will happen in the future. So we have to be very careful on this. Otherwise, lot of research happening in this field. This conference will open up so many avenues for students and researchers to identify areas where this tool can be used for better purpose, to take the humankind to the next level without losing the importance of or undermining the human intelligence. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for your inspiring speech. Reading make a full man, conference a ready man, and writing an exact man. This is the moment for releasing the conference proceedings.
I now invite Mrs. B. Devi, Assistant Professor, to introduce our Chief Guest of Honor, Dr. Bhaskaran Ramachandran, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Anna University, Chennai.
Good morning, one and all gathered here. I am glad to introduce our chief guest, Dr. SRMIST-Ramapuram is a professor of computer science and engineering at College of Engineering, Gindri campus, Anna University, Chennai, where he holds the additional responsibility as additional controller of examination, University Department, Anna University, Chennai. He has been the single point of contact for the recently conducted proctored online examination for the session November-December 2020 at Anna University, Chennai. This examination was conducted for 48 lakh students in one go and was carried out meticulously and successfully. He has received the prestigious Chakra Science Fellow Certificate of Achievements under Chakra Science Program, Japan in the year 2020, and he also received Certificate of Appreciation for his research excellence on this occasion of Teachers' Day from Professor M.K. Surappa, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Anna University. He has received Young Faculty Research Fellow under Vishweshwara Scheme, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, and IBM Best Faculty Award with the honorum of USD 5,000. Outstanding Researcher Award and a special mention on Who in the World in the 34th edition 2014, and is the receptionist of Shiksha Ratan Puraskar Award and the Best Citizen of India Award for the year 2011 for serving the society technically. Also, he has filled pattern and standards, many of his works under Pattern of India. He is one of the most enthusiastic and energetic faculty in the Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Anna University, Chennai, with more than 136 scholarly publications with a Google Scholar citation of 1968 and H index of 21. He was supervised 9 doctoral theses and currently supervising 8 doctoral students and postgraduate students in the area of computer science and engineering and served in various capabilities. He is expert in artificial intelligence, cognitive vision, machine learning and educational psychology. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much, Dr. Devi, for the nice piece of introduction about me. Dr. Agastya, are you hearing me?
Yes, sir, yes.
Yes, sir. I am, sir.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Nice meeting you, Dr. Jim. Yeah. So my special thanks as well goes to the Director of Research of SRMIST-Ramapuram campus, the Dean Science and Humanities, the organizers, the coordinators of this first international conference on artificial intelligence and data science. I understand Mr. Ganesan would have initiated this conference with a sponsor. It's been 6-7 years now that we have been associated with IBM on more of activities, not just only on open power. We collaborate with IBM on too many activities. As an activity in 2018, one of my scholars visited IBM Watson Research Laboratory for a 3-month intern. So where he could understand how Watson Research Laboratory could advocate and give precise information, right? So these were certain things that we've been doing with IBM Open Power and Watson Research Laboratories. Not just that, we also work with IBM, and that's how I got the award for the best faculty in Anna University campus along with IBM. So thanks to IBM Open Power and other sponsors who have sponsored this international conference. I take this opportunity to add a few points on what your Dean, Science and Humanities and Director of Research has pointed out. Your Dean was pointing on the building the curriculum vitae towards the placement activities. I'm pretty much sure to add a point to it, if every one of you could add points to your LinkedIn profile, that matters a lot, rather than one page of curriculum vitae that you write, if you can update all the recent enough activities, industry is expecting you to be updated on LinkedIn profile. So I request all the scholars, students of this community to keep yourself updated on the LinkedIn profile, which might give a lot of attraction to whatever industry and whoever you think you are to be recruited. Now coming to the point of artificial intelligence and data science, it's not a very new topic that has to be spelled out, as Dr. Agastya has clearly pointed out. It is from 1950s. We have been talking about artificial intelligence, but then people who were born in 60s and 70s, they know or they keenly understand on the drift from a manual system to an automated system, which kids who were born in after 90s may not be able to appreciate, because they are part and parcel of their automated systems. Post this pandemic as well, we are all used to get all our digital equipments ready, and we are completely digitized today. Even this conference has been happening digitally. Before this, we might have been thinking about conference as a very big activity where everybody has to be present in the venue. Now, thanks to the pandemic, we have gone digital and we could sit at one place and we can do a tremendous set of activities within a shortest span of time. So I'm glad that we have matched to the requirement in a very shortest period of time. Right? To add to what Dean Research has mentioned, Dean Research was mentioning about flight or Airbus information, data that is being collected from Airbus. To make all of you understand about the kind of data that we have been handling today, it's been voluminous. You cannot even imagine of what kind of data that we have been handling. Let me take a simple example of connected vehicles. A simple traditional one vehicle, which is equipped with say 100 sensors, could generate 25 GB of data per second. Just assume 25 GB of data per second with a daily rate of 11 TB. One single vehicle could generate 11 TB of data per day. When it comes to connected autonomous vehicles as a higher scale, this produces 90 TB, 19 TB of data per hour. Look at the scale, 19 TB of data per hour. Then multiply it by 24. That is the volume of data that we have been handling with. And estimates even predict that by the year 2025, we will be generating 100 exabytes of data per second. 100 exabytes. You cannot even imagine or understand the value of exabytes of data, but then that is the kind of volume that we are going to handle. So thanks to all the technologies, recent enough technologies like AI, data science, machine learning, deep learning, and all these on how to handle with this data, right? So this is one simple thing that this generation has to largely think with regard to how to handle about all this data. And to add to this point, a few years back, I was in a satsang where I was interested in listening to the conversation that was happening between the guru and all his subordinates, wherein he raised the very valid question of what has been the very primary difference between an animal and a human being. He said, animal could exhibit the characteristics and behavior which it has been designated with. We can easily mention that every animal can exhibit, this is the characteristic, this is the behavior which we can easily define. And if you go and look back at most of our algorithms, like ant colony optimization algorithms, particle swarm optimization algorithms, blue whale optimization algorithms, this is what we tend to do. And this is where we collect these algorithms, or we select these algorithms and we try to apply it for machine learning techniques. But then as a human being, we will not be able to specifically either to mention their characteristics or their behaviors. It depends, completely depends on time to time. Extending it still further, how are we building this artificial intelligence systems? How is the human mankind who are supposed to develop these kind of artificial intelligence? So that is a very big challenge. One of the very nicest point which was put forth so that everybody can understand where we are in artificial intelligence is, after looking at the Indian movie, most of you might have appreciated the way in which they have come out with the creativity level of how machines perform, behave, given an environment. But to add up to what your Dean Science and Humanities have mentioned, right? Although it could exhibit the physical intelligence, the intellectual capability to a greater extent, which astonished us to the next level, but then the twist in the story took the momentum only when the machine has gained its emotion, which happened during the interval portion. If people could appreciate on the movie, the entire twist happened. So far, we have been appreciating on the machines. On if we could possess such a machine, we all will be very happy with the way in which we will be progressing. But then, when this machine has got another additional point, which is to say about emotion, then how does this machine behave? Is the entire story moving about. So with regard to both human intelligence, where we study on their innate and biological intelligence, and artificial intelligence, which are nothing but our machine intelligence, these two are to be pronounced as very hot topics and gained a wide spectrum of knowledge in the scientific literature. So what I am trying to address, not just from the point of physical intelligence or an IQ level, when we march ahead, what we are expecting from machines are multiple intelligences. When we march ahead of physical intelligence and a general intelligent quotient, more than that, what we are expecting from every machine are these machines are to be very good enough in terms of visual, verbal, music, harmony, bodily kinesthetic nature, naturalistic, intrapersonal and interpersonal things. Are you seeing my slides on this? Yeah, you're able to see my slide?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I have just picturized on the multiple intelligence level, which both the human and the AI should exhibit in parallel, so that you will see a tremendous change in the year to come. If you look at and try to understand the 5-level hierarchies of human intelligence, starting from physical intelligence to the moral and ethical intelligence, humans have been performing so good till date. But as against, we as well see multiple intelligence which are being equipped with all the machines as well in parallel, right? Which is starting from AI applied to physical intelligence to AI applied to moral ethical intelligence. Understanding of whether the system is able to perform it right or wrong. If you look at the accuracy level of taking decisions for a court case, right, an advocacy level of an artificial intelligence system, it is far beyond the accuracy level that has been mentioned with human. So the average decision that has been taken by a human, AI excelled in that too. So on the top, where we see the moral and ethical intelligence, AI has been performing so good. Not just on that, we have alternate levels where we wanted a lot of innovation and creativity to happen. As an extension to it, at Anna University, we although do study the behavior of every individual human being and then try to do an analytics on that, try to have a surveillance where we study the behavior of the human being. But at the same level, one group of researchers, they research on visual storytelling with a list of objectives. And these objectives, where we collect on the different comics. Comics has been taken as one of the research area where we wanted to generate all the textual content into a visual narrative, right? So as far as this comic is concerned, after a keen study on this work, what we have explored is, we have explored on 10 different topics, 10 different research interests, which will make every researcher attractive on all these fields of interest, starting from content analysis, content generation, and user interaction. Just by looking at the contents, ester generation have cleared and understood all the theoretical aspects of the content that is available in the book. But if you take the same content of say 600 pages, 700 pages of engineering content to an engineering student today, he will not be happy about studying the entire 600-page content. It's primarily because of the digital divide. What today's generation see is they wanted more of visually appealing contents. They wanted more of audio contents. They wanted more of video to be expressed, right? So just by hearing on very simplistic contents, they are able to reproduce more because their experience level is far high when compared to the ester generations. So what we thought as a next level extension to what is available in the book, we will convert every paragraphs without converting any of the meaning that is given in the paragraph. Starting from the primary education, we started converting all the contents that is available in the book as a text into an image with a little bit of initial keywords which are present on the top as a speech balloon. So this is one of the very nicest activity that in our research lab we tend to do, which I thought I will share as a nicest way of continuing further with the research work. Where again we have constructed a lot of grammars, we have plotted structures specific regarding to specific themes. Say for example, a specific theme that we have considered for this as an objective, as an initial case, we have taken Tirukural, and in Tirukural we have taken specific couplets that are specific to the title called Olukkamudaimai. If you are very specific concentrating on Olukkamudaimai, it is all happening between a teacher and a student, where teacher talks more about discipline. If students have to be disciplined, then what are the sets of images that the teacher has to possess? So that we have written as a rule, and we have prepared a hierarchy over which, similar to Tirukural, we are presenting a 7-panel comic. This comic replicates what this Tirukural says, and we are as well generating the same content in a visually perfectual mode. So these are some of the nicest areas to start with. In the keynote address, I have just pointed it out. So I take this opportunity to thank the entire management and the faculty members of SRM-Ramapuram campus for organizing an excellent and wonderful international conference. Since the time given was very limited for me, it was just a 10-minute keynote. I thought I will give a push, a start, where you will understand what kind of research can go ahead. Ester generation, we were told conferences are to discuss more about scholarly publications, scholarly literature, where we tend to understand and we tend to innovate a lot. But today, even an undergraduate level student, a postgraduate level student does far behind their thinking capacity. So I'm happy that Department of MCA has made an initiative to start with their first international conference on AI and data science. And I thank the entire management for giving me an opportunity. Thank you very much. And thanks for your patient listening.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable information. I now invite Mrs. P.M. Kavita, Assistant Professor, Department of Computer Applications, to introduce the chief guest, Dr. Jill.
Good morning all. I feel proud to introduce our today's chief guest, Dr. James Forer. Dr. James Forer is a student of service science and open source trusted AI. He is a retired IBM executive who is a member of Board of Directors of non-profit International Society of Service Innovation Professionals. At IBM, he served as Director for Open Source AI Data, Global University Programs, IBM Embedded Service Research, and CTO IBM Venture Capital Relations Group. At Apple, he achieved Distinguished Engineer Scientist Technologist for authoring and learning platforms. After MIT, he developed speech recognition system at Vertex. Then PhD Computer Science AI at A. With over 90 publications and 9 patents, awards of achievements includes AMA Sir Christopher Lovelock Career Contributions to Service Discipline, Edward Bunsen Service Research, Virgo Left Service, Dominant Logic, Daniel Berg Service Systems, and Pickmet Fellow for Advancing Service Science. In 2021, Jim was appointed as UIDP Senior Fellow. I now hand over the session to Dr. Jim. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope you can hear me clearly, and I will try to speak slowly. If technology cooperates, it should be a good flow.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Very good. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers, the faculty, the deans for this opportunity to share some thoughts about artificial intelligence with you all. And I do really appreciate this opportunity. India is the largest democracy in the world, and this is a time, I think it's, because of the pandemic, we're doing this digitally, and it's great that technology allows us to do these things digitally. But I do look forward to the opportunity to visit some of you in person in the coming years. As mentioned, I am a retired IBM executive, and my wife likes to travel, so hopefully I'll get an opportunity to visit in person. I do want to just mention one thing that Dr. Bhaskaran said that I think is so important for all of you, especially the students who may be listening. Dr. Bhaskaran talked about your LinkedIn profile, and I just want to emphasize the importance in this digitally connected world for students to start developing their LinkedIn profile as a professional profile. And because I also work in open source artificial intelligence, I expect all you students, even if you do not program, to develop a LinkedIn profile and a GitHub profile. I hope my talk today will help you understand why this is so important, but Dr. Bhaskaran was absolutely correct that developing your digital persona is incredibly important to your future. And this is a different age than when I was born and growing up. And today, in this digital era, in this COVID world, it's so important for you to listen to what Dr. Bhaskaran said about developing your LinkedIn profile and also your GitHub profile. So I just want to put that out there to get started. I am retired. I live in California, in Silicon Valley. I've lived here for 30 years. I worked at Apple Computer before working for IBM. Yes, I knew Steve Jobs. I worked with Steve Jobs closely. I worked with many amazing people at IBM as well. And so here I am in California. It's the end of my day, but it's the beginning of your day there in India. And it's also, India has an amazing young population. I can't imagine, I'm a student of Amartya Sen, the Nobel Prize winner from India. I can't imagine some of the possibilities of the students that are in the audience today, what you're going to be able to accomplish in your careers and lifetime. I'm excited to be with you today because as I think about the world, and I want to share with you a little bit of my experience because I'm 66 years old, uh, uh, and I've had a lot of experiences in my life, and I've been very lucky. I studied the natural systems in the early part of my life, physics at MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, one of the greatest universities in the world. How lucky is that? And then I was later able to study cognitive systems and artificial intelligence at Yale University. In fact, I did an artificial intelligence startup company in the 1970s, many, many years ago. But I have to say, when I got to IBM, I started working on some of the most interesting systems of all, service systems. These include people, and trust is so important. And my studies today, I study this area called open source artificial intelligence, but I also study this area called service science, where trust is very important. And I think when you look at the amount of misinformation that exists on the web today, you see that even though the web and all of these platforms are amazing in terms of technological communication, if we're communicating misinformation, that's a disservice to humanity. So I think your generation really has to try to help us not only communicate globally, but also communicate information that is trustworthy. And I leave that as a challenge to you all. Two other points I want to make. I live here in Silicon Valley, so I meet entrepreneurs practically every day. In fact, when I moved over to IBM from Apple, I led the IBM's venture capital. I was CTO of IBM's venture capital group. A young Indian, Taran Sainani, came to visit me one day and said, Jim, I would like to have you mentor me. I said, sure. And a little bit later, he was able to start a startup company. He has an app, an award-winning app called World Around Me. It's won Google Awards, it's won Apple Awards, it's won Huawei Awards, and it's really a discovery service, an augmented reality discovery service that I think is pretty phenomenal. But I just want to provide a shout out to Taran. He came from India to the US and sought me out as a mentor. I also want to give a shout out to Irene Ng, who is working on a startup DataSwift that I think is very important, which deals with your data and the privacy of your data. And a lot of big companies are taking your data and monetizing it. And Irene said, enough. It's time for democratization of data, and how does the individual gain control over their data. So I'll just mention again Taran and Irene as two CEOs that I know who I think have very important work. And I hope if you're a student and you have a chance to study their startups, I think there's an opportunity to create even greater startups in the future, especially powered by artificial intelligence. So let's talk a little bit about artificial intelligence and service science, the two disciplines that I study. Artificial intelligence is actually 66 years old. I know that because I'm 66 years old. In 1956, at the Dartmouth Conference in New Hampshire, not far from where I was growing up in the state of Maine in the United States, artificial intelligence was born. So the year I was born, artificial intelligence was born. And artificial intelligence studies generations of machines, more and more intelligent machines, and how do we automate more and more tasks. And a lot of it's based on silicon. Service science, the other discipline that I study, is based on generations of smarter and smarter, trusted, responsible entities. They're carbon-based. And I just want to draw out this important distinction between artificial intelligence and service science. So let's talk about the future of artificial intelligence briefly. Here are some questions that I meet a lot of CEOs of companies, and they always ask me these questions. What is the timeline for solving artificial intelligence? A CEO wants to know, when can I buy a particular AI capability for a particular price X? Who are the leaders driving artificial intelligence progress? What are the biggest benefits from AI? What will they do? All technologies have risks. What are the biggest risks associated with artificial intelligence, and are they real? Again, there's a lot of misinformation in the world, and you have to know how to critically analyze the information you're given. What other technologies may have a bigger impact than AI? And that's certainly the case. And what are the implications of artificial intelligence for the various stakeholders, and how should we prepare to get the benefits and avoid the risks? And again, I've already echoed what Dr. Bhaskaran mentioned about, I want all of you students to prepare by developing and adding to your LinkedIn profiles, and hopefully getting GitHub profiles as well. So this is probably the most important slide I'll present in my presentation today. And if you remember one thing from my presentation, if you have your smartphone, take a picture of this slide because it's important. And this is my version of Moore's Law. Every 20 years, computing costs are down by a factor of 1,000. That's amazing. And I've lived long enough to see this is true. I was born in the 1950s. I remember my uncle Jim, whose name was also Jim, who worked for IBM in the 1960s. And he would tell me about IBM mainframes that could do 1,000 computer instructions per second. And that was fast. And he would tell me, you can't do 1,000 instructions per second. You can't add 1,000 numbers a second, can you? And I go, wow, 1,000, I can barely add 2 numbers in a second. A computer can add 1,000. This was like really, really fast. But if you see this chart here, you see $1 trillion, $1 billion, $1 million, $1,000, $1. And then the bottom, the horizontal, is every 20 years. And in 1960, the IBM mainframes could only do 1,000 instructions per second. I joined IBM in 1998, and for $1,000, you could get 1 billion instructions per second. Computers could do 1 billion instructions per second. Today, you can get terascale computers that can do 1 million instructions per second. So these diagonal lines are the number of instructions per second. And you can think it's not just instructions per second, it's storage, it's bandwidth, everything. The amount of information you can communicate, the amount of information you can store, the number of instructions, all increasing. They all have their version of Moore's Law, but guess what? Your brain, the brain of a human being, many animals, by the way, can do 1 billion instructions per second. Your brain is an exascale. We heard Dr. Bhaskaran talking about exascale data science that's coming. Well, an exascale is 1 billion instructions per second. And we don't get, if Moore's Law continues, we don't get to 1 billion instructions per second of $1,000 till 2060. Now, some of you are probably 20 years old, some of you students. So by 2060, you'll be about my age. When you're my age, that's when you can buy an exascale for $1,000 if Moore's Law continues. And you'll notice, though, that the cost of a digital worker is here. So a lot of people, this is the person's average annual salary here, this band right here. So a lot of people are worried that artificial intelligence is going to destroy jobs. I'm not, because if you look at this next slide, I live in Silicon Valley, where we're all entrepreneurs, and If you look at GDP per employee in the US, it's increasing exponentially. What does this mean? This means if you're trying to do a startup company and you've got to hire a data scientist for $300,000, that's what it costs in Silicon Valley, where I live in California, $300,000 a year to hire a good data scientist. But guess what? It's not always going to be that way, because as we get the cost of a digital worker going down, you'll be able to use AI, you'll be able to hire an AI. So as an entrepreneur, you're very excited about this. This is going to increase your potential. And you as a student, I want you to be thinking about, what would you do if you had 100 workers working for you? Some of you may say, what? Me? 100 workers working for me? Guess what? In your lifetime, all of the apps on your smartphone are going to grow up and be AI digital workers. And if you've got 100 apps on your smartphone, guess what? It's going to be like having 100 employees working for you. What are you going to put them? What good are you? What purpose will you put them towards? If you're not thinking about that, you're not preparing for this future, which we can see is unfolding. Now, here's another way, besides the physics of computation, that I look at the future of artificial intelligence. This is what I call my AI progress open source roadmap, because it's got these 4 stages. Again, Dr. Baskarin, I believe, and one of the speakers before him spoke about artificial intelligence is getting very good at perceiving the world, but we still have to develop cognition. We have to have AI that can build relationships. My dog has better social interaction skills than any AI in the world today. And then ultimately we have to have AI that fills roles. And so what we can do, if you go out to paperswithcode.com/SODA, SODA stands for state of the art, you can see all these papers that talk about leaderboards. Leaderboards are just ranking AI systems in terms of what their capabilities are. We certainly have AI systems that can do pattern recognition, speech recognition, image recognition, language translation. These are some of, if you click on these, and by the way, I'll post these slides to my slideshare.net/Sora, so you'll be able to download all these slides and click on these links. So you can go up to leaderboards and you can see that AI systems have, for narrow domains, have better, are more capable than people. They can outperform people, just like IBM built in 1997, we built a computer that could beat anybody at chess in the world, the greatest chess players in the world. And in 2011, we built a computer that could answer questions, trivia questions on the Watson Jeopardy system better than any person in the world. There's certainly, we can build AI systems that have capabilities better than people for narrow tasks. But when you get to things like memory, you might think, gosh, I mean, a computer can memorize the whole of Wikipedia. That's better memory than a person. But no, a human memory is better than a computer memory because we form generalizations. Even though a computer memory can remember all of Wikipedia, when you experience the world, you learn and you start forming generalizations. There's no computer in the world that has an episodic memory like you. There's no computer in the world, Siri, Watson, none of them have a memory like you do and able to form generalizations and have an episodic memory. And in reasoning, certainly we have computers that can solve constraint problems, millions and billions of factors of constraints. Maybe that's better than a human. But guess what? In terms of common sense reasoning, there's no AI system that can do that. So probably it won't be till 2027 that we get human-like memory and reasoning capabilities in AI systems. And then we still have to have AI systems that can build relationships, that can have social interactions and fluent conversations. Chatbots are not fluent conversation. And if you click on these leaderboards, you can see, you can track this over time. You can see as AI systems are improving, and ultimately we'll have AI systems out here by 2030, 2040 that can fill societal roles, assistant, collaborators, coaches, and mediators. And A collaborator, I just want you to think about who's your best collaborator. I know faculty, you probably are thinking about your best collaborator, but students, you may not be thinking about who your best collaborator is. I remember Steve Jobs and Wozniak. Steve Jobs could not have started Apple without his Steve Wozniak. You may be a great business mind, you may be a great technical mind, but to do great things, you have to be able to collaborate with other people. And my best collaborators that I think of when I think who's my best collaborators, like Paul Maglio and other people I've written a lot of papers with, my gosh, we argue all the time. And that's how we make our ideas better. We're debating each other. Well, guess what? There's leaderboards on debating technology. And what is a coach or a mediator? What is a cognitive mediator? Well, for a mediator, think about who do you trust the most in the world? Who do you trust? Who would you trust to make decisions on your behalf? Some people say, nobody, I only trust me. Other people say, well, I trust my wife or my husband. Some people say they trust their parents. But imagine by 2039, 2040, imagine trusting an AI to make decisions on your behalf. Wow. We got a long way to go to get there, but that's going to happen. And part of the reason you're going to trust that AI is because in some ways, that AI will know you better than you know yourself. I know that may seem hard to imagine, but can you remember what you had for breakfast a year ago? Probably not. Could you memorize all the names of everybody in the audience that's listening right now? Probably not. Your AI will be able to. So by about 2040, there's going to be, every one of us will have a personal AI that knows our experience in life in more detail than we know it ourselves in some ways. Not in all ways, but in some ways. So anyway, think about this progression. Not only, I want you to think about this important slide here for Moore's Law. I want you to think about these other open source systems. Just think about those because that's the roadmap. You don't have to worry, it's going to take decades, but by understanding it, you'll be able to help build this world. Now, who's winning? Well, if you look at this Technology Review article of a few years ago, these are scientific publications in AI. This red is China, the light blue is US, and this is the rest of the world. So China has more scientific papers on artificial intelligence than any other country. In terms of companies, this green line, this is Microsoft, and you can see the red line is Google catching up. Solidly in third place is IBM. When you look at intellectual property, though, patents, IBM is dominant. IBM's had more patents than any other company in the world in artificial intelligence. In fact, IBM has been the leader in patents in general, more patents from IBM than any other company in the world for over a quarter of a century. And if you look at robots by country, this is an important statistic. I can't remember with energy. There's 3 sources of energy, including artificial leaf. Broad group in China can already build 30-story buildings in 15 days. You know the roadmap for smarter computers. Retail goes social. Finance goes crowdfunded. Healthcare, all robotic surgery, 3D printed organs. Education looks like team sport, entrepreneurship. And I know it's hard to believe in the crazy world we live in today, but even government works better by 2035. And if I had more time, as Dr. Basperin said, I could explain that to you. Be prepared. Develop your T-shaped skills. That's breadth and depth. In the old days, you could just be deep. Now you have to have depth and breadth. And I've contributed to a number of books on this concept of T-shaped people. And I'll just wrap up by saying the building blocks are getting better. In 1955, when I was conceived in the state of Maine, This was the phone that was on the wall in the farmhouse that I grew up in. It was made of wood. I remember taking this phone apart as a little kid. I was probably 7 years old when we got a new phone, and I asked my dad, "Can I take this apart?" Because there were big magnets in it. But I remember taking this phone apart and studying it and learning how it worked. And when I was at MIT, this was the rotary phone on my dorm room at MIT. Most people today don't even know how to use rotary phones. I got to Silicon Valley. I had my first Nokia phone. Today I have my smartphone from Apple. But what would I have by 2035 if I'm lucky enough to make it there, or 2055 if I'm lucky enough to make it to 100? This was my first program on punch cards in 1972. When I led IBM's global university programs, I gave 300,000 faculty and students around the world access to IBM Watson in the cloud. What will we have? It's going to be amazing. I will just end there and say it's been a great pleasure to have this opportunity to share some thoughts about the future with you. I hope you all get your LinkedIn profiles updated. As Dr. Bascarin said, I hope you all do a fantastic job getting your GitHub profiles. Even if you're not a programmer, get a GitHub account and start just doing searches. You don't even have to understand code. Just look at all the amazing software that's out there that's open source and free, because that's the building blocks of the future. And with that, I'll stop and thank you all for this opportunity to present to you today.
Nice talk, Dr. Jim. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Bascarin. Enjoyed your comments as well.
And we call upon Assistant Professor, the Conference Secretary of this program, Mrs. Surya, to propose the vote of thanks. Welcome, ma'am.